Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa on Wealth Wednesday. It's very important to have your branding right for anything business-wise. So Mike Young is the makeover master. Personally, I've worked with him, extraordinary human being. Welcome to Good Morning LaLa.
Thank you for having me
So
on.
good to see you in LA.
I know.
You flew in. Tell everyone where you're from.
I live in Corvallis, Oregon, and flew in a couple days ago. I had a couple clients on the show.
Yeah.
And so that was cool to see them and see them tell their story. And then I had a podcast get canceled yesterday. So
Fun stuff. Got to roll with it.
Got to hang out and hang out with my friend Lance Ecios. And so that was a really cool day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about branding. So important because, I mean, what is branding, right? I mean, it's everything from your website to your, IG post to every word that comes out of your mouth. You represent your brand. So how do you do a makeover for someone's brand?
Yeah, we do business image makeovers, and so a lot of times people get confused about what that even means. And it's really representing yourself online as you are offline. So our clients are amazing. They have amazing skills and talents, and they've built up this massive history of action really in the field and results. But sometimes they don't display that online, and they look amateur or confusing or ugly or even non-existent.
But sometimes I think it's so hard to really kind of hone in on what your brand is, especially if they are an author, a podcaster, a speaker, and a model and a fashion designer. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the people who are entrepreneurs have a lot of very interesting facets of their business that they're creating.
Yeah.
Dr. Erin, for example. So how do you say, okay, this is the direction we're going when there's so many lanes?
Yeah, there's a strategy and a formula to all of it, but it's really just finding out who that person is. We work with a lot of personal brands. That's what our mission is to transform the business image of personal brands so that they can transform the world in their little niche.
So what's step 101 with that?
Step 101 is just getting clarity on everything that you're trying to accomplish with your mission, and then making sure that shows up with the first impression, because that's where so many people are. It's Wealth Wednesday, right? So many people are losing an extraordinary amount of money with their business because that first impression doesn't match who they truly are.
Well, and they're just not getting the engagement. I mean, the point is this: if I'm going, I actually want to bring truth and wisdom to people's life, and they come to my website and they're just confused because they're like, well, that's cool, she's got this, that, whatever, but it doesn't actually take them in and hold their hand and take them in. I think that's your genius, is to really simplify it enough to where people can take action.
Yeah, if you look through just the normal engagement of human beings, we all go through a process where we have a first impression. We have to get to know you. You have to build the relationship. And if you don't look the part, people do still judge you based on how things look first. And if you don't tell them where to start and simplify the message on the front end, they typically don't start. And so that's where people are costing themselves money. So you have to take podcasts, TV show, interviews, all this information, social media, all that stuff, and you still have to tell them, where do I start the process with this person?
Man, thought I could just find a picture with like Beyonce, Jay-Z, just posting, I'd be good. But apparently that's not it.
I mean, that's part of it.
So much more work than that.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rob.
Just a quick question. So if somebody is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, for instance, right, and they have all these different hats they wear, would you encourage them to put it all in one place, get to the essence of it, and sort of share and communicate that, or to have separate sites, separate accounts, separate profiles?
Yeah, I love building personal brands because the person doesn't change, right? You can have different products come into your life, different services that you want to offer the world, but it's still Rob at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So if you can be authentic online and be a little bit vulnerable, you guys talked about Elton John being vulnerable, share your story, share your struggles, but share it from a place of the past. People won't work with you if you are broke or broken.
Yeah.
And so you build your site around the authentic you, and then you can share, well, I also have a TV show, I also have a podcast. You can link out to other places, but it's more like the hub.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I love that.
I find it very interesting how you have made over your own life. You weren't a makeover master from day one.
No.
So tell us about your personal journey.
Yeah, it was a process, painful process, really. I created over 50 brands between 2008 to 2015, and I call it my self-discovery phase. I was really seeking, how do I get the entrepreneurial dream? Work when I want, where I want, with who I want, and all those things we wanted. No emails, limited meetings, and massive amounts of money, all those things. But that process led me to a place where I got extremely frustrated. I was trying to do too many things at once. I had created a message for myself. My own business image was confusing because I was trying so many things. And so I found myself, this is late 2017, I was in my office. I was following a copywriter, one of the best copywriters in the world, in my opinion, Mitch Miller. And I saw a live video and he said, I don't understand why people, when they're stuck, don't ask for help more. And a week later on a post, I said, I think I need some help. I have all the skills. I took all the courses. I spent over $200,000 investing in my own self-education and marketing, advertising, branding, all that stuff, and it still wasn't working. And so I reached out to him. He said, he private messaged me and said, if you come, here's my event, I'll help you. I'll put you on a hot seat, I'll help you. We'll figure out why it's not connecting. And I was really like at that place of like thinking about quitting, to be honest. And the problem was, it was 7,900 miles away in Phuket, Thailand, and it was 15 days away. And I was just like, this is freaking crazy, like, how is this gonna work? I came home, I talked to my wife. I said, I feel like I need to go do this. And she's an amazing lady. She's excuse me, she's super supportive. And she just said, like, she took about 30 seconds to process it. And she just goes, I think you gotta go. And I bought a ticket 5 minutes later on Expedia. 15 days later, I end up in Thailand at the Opposed Media compound. And I sat down and him and his team helped me figure out all the missing pieces of why my stuff wasn't doing what it is doing now. And it was really, I was displaying way too much stuff. I was confusing the heck out of my audience. And so I had to go through my own makeover process. And now I've written a book. I've documented the journey. There's a system, there's a method to it. But it all started with my mindset, to be honest.
So it's really been interesting working with you because you have like a process, which I really admire, of like walking people through, because I think that one of the things working with clients is they want to do it all. Even if they're simplifying, they want to do it all, even if they're makeover, right? And there is a process to it because it's like writing a book. Your brand is really like writing a book. You've got to distill down your message. You've got to distill down what it is that's going to be your message in your posts and your Instagram stories and da-da-da. It's like, it is, branding is everything. And you talked to me about dissonance. And I think that is one of the biggest thing. And people talk about authentic or dissonance. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, the brain can't hold two competing thoughts at the same time. So when I hear, even if I was referred and said, hey, Dr. Erin is the most amazing person, she's awesome, whatever, and I go to your website and I see confusing or ugly or amateur or one of those things, I can't justify the two. And so I don't start. It's like that old saying of confused prospects never buy, and confused prospects never start either. Because if they can't figure out why my friend says you're so awesome, but it doesn't look the part online, or they don't know where to start the process if you don't simplify, like even Pop-Tarts has, on the side of a Pop-Tarts box, it's like, here's 3 steps to heat up a Pop-Tart. And it's like, you wouldn't think you'd need that, but we do.
Need that.
We crave it. Cognitive fluency with the brain just says that we crave information in the simplest, easiest way. We want to be told what to do.
Totally.
We want to be told where to start.
So true.
Yeah.
So being that we're doing something very traditional, have a talk show in a non-traditional format, we're streaming, we're across all digital platforms, we're trying to make a name for ourselves. Over 900 guests, 300 episodes, 43 million impressions.
No wonder I'm tired today.
Just thinking about it.
You know us because you've been here, you've seen it. But what can we do to really translate that to the audience who might not have seen it, who just doesn't get it?
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point, because you have all these views, but there is still somebody seeing you for the first time. And so the first impression is everything, because they're not going to start the process if they're confused. And so consistency is the key. You guys have an amazing track record now of just being consistent. You show up, you do the show, you promote it, and that builds trust with your audience. They know where to find you, when it's going to be on, and all those things. But if they don't know where to start, if the site overwhelms them from the start, and they don't know where to subscribe or engage, or they don't buy into your authentic story, if you don't share, you guys all have amazing stories. I've heard bits and pieces of all of them. But if you don't share that, people can't connect with you on an emotional level. And so I call it you're creating your authentic movie role. And you know, actors like, you know, you've heard these stories like Leonardo DiCaprio goes into like a movie role, but he goes all in, you know. He's a vegetarian, but he's eating meat in the movie, you know, those types of things. You go all in on yourself. That's really it. You go all in on yourself and you figure out what's my core driving purpose, what's my business purpose, what's my mission, what do I stand for, and more importantly, what do I stand against? And as you start to share that consistently with your audience, it builds trust, and other people that want to be where you're at, that have seen what you've made it through, they want to know that process. They want to know the journey. And then if you can say, I've got a process to help you go from here to here, because I've done it myself, people want to work with you.
So let me fix that right now. Okay, we've got about 18 minutes left. I was born December 20th, 1996, and on that day, I'll let you go. But, yeah,
But it's almost like
really
you're
good.
doing spiritual, like core work, right? I mean, like coming from, you know, we talked, of course, we do that work, and then we have so many great coaches and therapists, and it's like it all comes down to those things, getting clear of what your core values are, and da-da-da. It's like, I don't see where even like the marketing versus the branding versus psychology, it's all like one thing to me. I don't even see a difference in any of it now.
It's super interesting because you're right. It's like people come in and they say, I need a new website or I need a new logo or whatever, but it's never about that. It's usually figuring out what that system is. And it's like, it always starts with mindset, and then you have to prove your business model in the marketplace. You have to create a strategy for how you're going to communicate it. Then you have to get your image on point, manufacture your influence, and then build an engine to run it consistently. And so like you guys all do things that allow your body and your mind to operate consistently on a consistent basis. And if you go out and do the other things and you can't build that consistency, people don't trust you. We see it all the time. You know, people are like, this week I'm selling this, next week I'm selling that. You know, and
It's only because I'm trying so hard.
yeah, that's it. You know, I tried hard for years, and you try hard going broke and being frustrated and all those things. It's narrowing the focus, getting very, very clear for the first time for a lot of people, and then being wildly consistent after that.
Which goes exactly against what everybody says. You throw a whole bunch of things on the wall and you see what sticks.
I think that's like the normal human condition is you almost have to go through that phase. You almost have to go complex to get simple.
It's very true. So important. It's such, branding is everything and consistency is everything. So walk us through, you've got a book coming out.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think you're genius about is you do talk about a lot of the philosophy of branding, which I think is important for people to understand so that they, when they step back from it like that, they can kind of understand a lot more. So talk about your book that's coming out.
So a book's called Made Over because that's really what I was the first makeover client. I had to make over myself before I could ever help others. I got very selfish to become extremely unselfish. And so I had to focus on my mindset. I had to prove my business model in the marketplace. As I wrote the book's fascinating. It's a daunting process to try and take 10, 15, 20 years worth of stuff that's in your head and get it into something that people can read.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
It's just
Reach
like,
that.
It sounds like it's all the same. We had to go in first and do our work. I was the first makeover, then you become like that.
yeah.
I'm telling you, it's all the same work. So go on, sorry.
No, it's amazing. It's just like this process of I had to make myself over, and then all I want to do now is share it with the world. I just want to help other people that have these. Our clients are so amazing. They have these amazing talents and skills. They just don't look the part. And so we come in and we just take who they actually are and we clarify that brand strategy, that message, and then we just display who they actually are, and their business takes off. They can't figure out why. Like, why is it all of a sudden successful? And it's because it's almost like they've been hiding in a closet in a way. They're amazing, but they're not showing anybody how amazing they are.
They're just waiting to be discovered.
Waiting to be discovered.
So what do you wish you would have known now that you've been made over? What do you wish you would have known 20 years ago?
That's a good question. I wish I would have asked for help sooner, because the thing that happened for me is I got to be a man. I got to figure it out on my own. I'm not going to ask for a map. I'm going to drive around endlessly just finding my location, right? And there are people that have struggled and been where you're at that are more than willing to help. And I have these amazing mentors and coaches that came in and said, let us help you, and all I had to do was ask. It's like the teacher appears when the student is ready type of thing.
So true.
And so I wish I would have asked for help sooner. And that's the one thing I would say is there are people that have been through that. The entrepreneurial road can be very dark and very lonely at times. And there are people that have been through it and come out the other side that are willing to help you if you ask.
So true. It's like Elton John last night at the concert. He said there was 3 magical words: I need help. And I think that we all need help. We're always growing. We're always the student and the teacher forever.
Yeah.
Forever and ever.
Yeah.
Who would you say, whether it's a company or individual, has got this branding thing down pat? Maybe somebody that's either been a client of yours or someone that's not been. But who could people look to as an excellent example?
Great question.
Who's crushing the branding?
The Kardashians.
Yeah, and explain why. Could you?
Well, they have about 1 billion followers.
Yes. But the followers aren't
I would
always
say-
indicative.
I would say it comes down to authenticity. It's there. If with branding, I think about the Kardashians kill it. Obviously, I'm trying to think of a more real world example.
That is so real world, though, because there's not a single person watching who hasn't heard of, seen of, or feel like they personally know a Kardashian because they follow them on Instagram, they've seen their reality show, they've downloaded their app, they've bought their lip gloss. I mean, through and through, each and every single one of those Kardashians has nailed it.
Yeah, and like Lindsay Lohan is kind of trying to rebrand herself and stuff, and it's like, but I think it comes down to the consistency. I think the best compliment you can get as a brand is when somebody sees you for the very first time in real life, that they're like, you're exactly who I thought you would be, because you're displaying your authentic self online. And so brand, like, that's a strong brand to me.
I have a question to ask you because more than once people have looked at me and said, wow, you're way cooler than I thought you would be. I was wildly offended. At first I thought like, well, take it as a compliment. I guess I'm kind of cool. However,
Interesting.
I can't believe you didn't think I was cool. Why did you think I was going to be rude?
I've always thought you were cool.
mean? But I was really shocked and disheartened by that.
And I think we all are starved for attention these days. There's so much noise. There's so much social media. There's so many different options for what, it used to be 3 channels, right? Now it's like 3 million channels. We're all our own TV channel. So it is about sharing your authentic story and being deadly consistent. There are guys that run $30 million companies that have one social media platform, one offer, one product. There are people that have 55 offers that are dead broke, because people can't decide where to start. And I think the authenticity is huge. I think about like another person as an example would be like Russell Brunson, the owner of ClickFunnels, CEO of ClickFunnels, wildly consistent, master marketer, deadly consistent, shares his story, shares his faith, and you build trust and you can buy into him. And if you meet him in person, he's going to be the same guy.
So fascinating.
I guess I just have to be way cooler on Instagram.
No pressure. So fascinating. So where do you think things are going? I mean, do you think anything like surprisingly is going to happen in the marketing branding world, or do you think it's pretty much it's like a human hero journey story? We have to do the same thing over again. There's a total science to it, and it's not going to change anytime soon.
I don't think when you look at marketing, advertising, copywriting, if you look at the last 100 years, it hasn't changed very much because human beings haven't changed very much. The rest of the stuff, the media and the noise, is just that. It's noise. But at the end of the day, all human beings have the same core desires. We have the same feelings. There's 12 archetypes of people. So it's like we all fall into these same buckets.
Right.
And so marketing, advertising, branding is going to stay relatively the same because people don't change.
Okay, will you talk, because we have a little bit more time, will you talk real quickly about, I think it's the 7 or 9 points of what is good marketing, the points of the proof. That I think is profound that you talked about with me.
And I think that's it. So many people don't display the proof of who they truly are. And so there's proof of results, there's client reviews.
So he's talking about on social media, if you have a brand and you do want to engage with your clients or actually sell something, this is kind of the science behind what has people purchase from somebody.
Yeah, there's a formula to it all. It's really, proof of results is huge. That's when my brand started to take off. All I did was I made my posting strategy around showing the results of my clients. And when I come on a show like this, or when I'm in a publication, it's showing proof and that upward spiral of momentum. People want to be around high energy people that are successful, and the 9 different forms of proof. I learned a lot of this stuff from Mitch Miller, and as you put the formula to your own brand in your own life, stuff starts to work.
Right. So there's like proof of like that you're also emotional. You need to show like time with your friends and family. They want to see that you're emotionally connected.
Yeah, I have a posting strategy, and so it's not like clockwork. It's not like, oh, 9 a.m. I post this. You know, it's fluid. But I kind of monitor the aliveness of my profile, and so it's like, am I doing too many arrogant posts? Like, look at me on Good Morning LA, whatever it is, right? Or do I bring in, look, I just had lunch with my grandma, you know, those types of things. So there is a strategy and a philosophy to it.
I wouldn't consider the Good Morning LA post nearly as arrogant as Good Morning
Like,
LA.
yeah, exactly.
I
knew I butchered it.
No. You didn't butcher it. You didn't butcher it. It was perfect. It was a perfect setup for me. So question, if we are willing to put a second mortgage on Jeslin's dream house and her Malibu house, can we hire you to do all of it? Because I feel like you are exceptional at it, and I think most of us kind of suck at it. Right. So is this something we can completely outsource to you, and you sort of take over people's accounts, or how do people work with you in a way that's comfortable for them and helpful?
Yeah, that's it. Like where my business wasn't working was when we were trying to do a logo here, a social media account here, a website here. When I felt like I wasn't having the transformational effect with our clients. Yeah. And so when we went to, we're going to do everything and we're going to get it all to sync up. That's really, it's a done for you service.
Wow.
It's let me figure out who your authentic self is. We'll figure out how to display it and clean up all these things. So like Erin, so much online activity, so much proof, but how do we kind of reconfigure things so that it makes sense to a new first person?
Oh, just love it.
Yeah.
Love the work you're doing. So important.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
And it really, I talk about that is some of my clients are literally saving people's lives. Like, you have a huge mission with society, and the work that you're doing, you deserve to transform people's lives.
Thank you.
But if you don't get that first opportunity because they don't know where to start, it's like that's where the money's going out of.
Most people didn't even know. They're like, I didn't even know that you had this. They're like, you never even shouted out on it. I never even asked for any sales. You know, it's like
so
funny.
Weird how that works.
Yeah.
But like your deepest thing that you want to get out to the world, and other people come up to you and go, I didn't even know that was a thing. You know, and you're like, you realize how big of a disconnect because we're all so close to our own problems.
So true.
Maybe you want to protect it.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, or
Well,
something.
I
don't know.
appreciate you so much, and I want to give a shout out to your wife and to your family, because I know you're a big family guy. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to work with you and just to keep it up.
Thank you.
Looking forward to our
Thank
partnership
you.
for sure.
Yeah.
So tell everyone where they can find and follow you and work with you. Get their master makeover.
TheMakeoverMaster.com is my website, and they can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Mike Young Makeovers.
Thanks, Mike.
You guys are awesome.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.